At 88. What did he mean by this? Very curious age to die at, Pope Francis. I have to say, it is very papal of him to wait until just after Easter to die again. You know, it's very like waits until birthday. I respect that. He understands. He knows the assignment. Man, cause of death has not been shared. Being 88 years old, maybe. I don't know. That'd be my guess. What if there's some intrigue? You know, what if they're like, oh shit, he's tested positive for like cyanide poisoning? People are like, everyone goes after JD Vance. That's funny. I hate AP News, man. Best pope in a very long time. Francis charmed some and alienated others. Was he a good pope? Well, you can't really say. On one hand, good people who liked good things liked him. But on the other hand, bad people who like bad things didn't like him. So overall, you know, pretty neutral reception. 2 seconds ago, the bells of Mexico City's cathedral ring out a call to mourning. Yeah, that sounds about right. He was pro-good and anti-bad. He really was. He really was. Oh, he was a good pope. He genuinely was. He was a rarity in today's world, especially to an American. He was a Catholic who actually believed in God. I know that's crazy to think about, given the fact that essentially every religious person seemingly is totally full of shit and just uses the belief in God as a metaphysical pretext to justify beliefs they already had, usually bad beliefs. But I think he actually believed in God, guys. It's pretty crazy if you think about it. Way better than Benedict? Oh yeah, oh yeah. Do you see Marjorie Taylor Greene celebrating his death? I guess she's a Protestant, right? So it's actually like doctrinally correct for her to do so. You know, the 100-year war continues. Tweeted this just after the after the Pope's death. Today there were major shifts in global leaderships, evils being defeated by the hands of God. You can read into that what you want. We know what she means. It's a woke Pope. It's a woke. Protestant equals demon. Oh yeah, I could have told you that. That's easy. They tell you it like it's like day one of Catholic school. I think it says a lot that the Orthodox Christians are still mad at the Catholics for the whole sacking of Constantinople thing during the Crusades, which I would be too, but they both get along in hating Protestants. Like, despite that beef between them, they're like, okay, well, you know, you may have sacked the capital of the world for no reason, but at least we're not those Proddies, right? And they're right. It's true. Saw a quote this morning of the Pope saying he hopes hell is empty. Yeah, what was the quote? This is just my opinion, not doctrine, but I do hope hell is empty. I like to believe that. Really sweet. Sweet guy. All the demons are on earth. Yeah. I mean, there are tons of different kinds of Protestants. Don't you try to escape. You're not getting out of this one, mother. What about Lutherans? Yeah, you too. We know at a minimum Judas is there. Jesus forgave him. That's true. That's true. Wasn't the Pope pro-Russian? No. I mean, no. He also didn't he appoint a Ukrainian cardinal? No. He has like extensively condemned the war in Ukraine. From Russia's, like, on Russia's side, condemned Russia's involvement. No, he was pro-Palestine, pro-Ukraine. You know that, I don't know if he was still doing this in the final days of his life, but for a long time, like hundreds of days, every day, he would call the main Catholic church in the Gaza Strip and talk to the people there and ask them how they're doing. Like in the ongoing bombardment from Israel, he would call them and like check in with them. Wasn't the Pope pro-LGBT? Yeah, essentially. Okay, I've said this before, but the problem is that if you follow Catholic doctrine by the letter, right? Humans sin all the time. That's what you go to confessional for. Gay sex is like a lot of other things, right? Like coveting your neighbor, right? Now the problem is that, and this is hypocritical, right? This is anti-doctrinal. But the problem is that Catholics will be like, well, to err is human, to sin is human. You know, you make your mistakes, you go to church, you pray, whatever. You can have an affair, you can lie, you can cheat, you can steal, say your amens, whatever, right? But then they treat homosexuality like it's a unique sin. Like, if you can just wipe away stealing with a visit to confessional, why the can't you do that with being gay? Like, what, like the problem is, like, they treat it like it's sin plus. It doesn't make sense, right? Pope Francis treated it, I guess, in a doctrinally correct way, right? Like, it's a sin to have gay sex, but, you know, to sin is human, baby. He's a pope, okay? But by the standards of papacy, it's a pretty damn good one. He was also good on climate and migrant rights. Didn't he literally, like, have a big meeting with, like, trans sex workers or something? Look, he was a cool guy, okay? He also, and I'm really hoping on this. I'm praying for it. You know, he did fill the cardinal positions with other progressives, and he did reform the church quite a bit. So I am desperately hoping that the next pope is progressive. I appreciate you saying nice things about the pope. Yeah, no, of course. I've always been pro woke on this one. I think that like there's a cynical take. And by the way, I'm an edgy atheist or a Reddit anti-theist, right? Like, you know, I know my clan, but I gotta say, I think that there's like a very pervasive cynicism with regard to how people have treated him, right? That just doesn't, like, when you're the Pope, what the f do you expect, right? Like, there are limits to what you can do. You're working with doctrine here. I think the man basically like turned the church around in a progressive direction as much as he possibly could have, really. Genuinely, like we're talking about like marginal differences here. I mean, he really pulled it over, like on every level, like on climate, on Palestine, on Russia and Ukraine, on LGBT rights, and everything, like on every level. Now, again, it's the Catholic Church, right? You know, we're kind of handing out cookies for participation, but I think he did a pretty damn good job given the circumstances. You have to grade in a bit of a curve. Plus, he commissioned Lucci, and Lucci is genuinely adorable. That is true. We got our very first twee little chibi Catholic mascot, which made all the tradcaths in America really angry because they were all like, shouldn't the mascot of Catholicism be like a crusader? Shouldn't it be like if like Jesus, but he's got a sword and his eyes are glowing or something? Because they're fake Catholics. But no, in reality, the true Catholics love Lucci. Behold. Many news outlets are saying the Vatican wants a more conservative-leaning pope because they said Francis was too left-leaning. Who's the Vatican? The Vatican is led by the Pope, and the Pope is dead. Who's the Vatican? There are certainly lots of cardinals who want a more conservative pope, but I've been seeing this list running around. It's just on Twitter, but I've seen it, you know, the news agencies seem to be running more or less the same gamut. We're praying over here for Tegel and Zuppi. Also, Pope Zuppi. Well, obviously he doesn't keep the name Zuppi. If he becomes Pope, he's going to be like Pope John or something. Pope John the 400th or whatever. I mean, he could keep it if he wanted to. Yeah, but he won't. Against LGBT rights is wild. Have you spoken with a 80-year-old Catholic anytime recently? Yeah, so who's it not going to be? Well, it's not going to be the American, that's for sure. Definitely not. The American one is the one Vance wants. Oh, of course, obviously. And how fitting is it, of course, that the American cardinal is like fat and an arch-conservative? I think we're ready for our first Filipino. Black Pope, Black Pope. No, Filipino Pope. That's like Asian. Do Filipinos consider, I mean, they are Asian, but do they like self-identify as Asian? Or is there like another, do they go like Oceania or something? South Asian? Yeah. They're Mexican Asian. All I know about Filipinos race-wise is that they're spiritually Brazilian. Tegel is also Filipino Chinese. Filipinos are Latinos. Listen, it's complicated, okay? I guess we'll see how it goes. The black one, conservatives would die. Moderate against the criminalization of homosexuality. You know, I as much fun as it would be to irritate people with a black pope, I think that it would be cool if they were actually just the most left-leaning pope possible, in my opinion. But, you know, whatever. That's just my opinion. As a left-leaning guy, Vatican says cause of Pope Francis' death was cerebral stroke that led to a coma and irreversible heart failure. I mean, that can happen to you when you're 88 years old and you meet the Antichrist, right? That can happen to you. Pope Francis wondered whether it's right for Western powers to arm Ukraine, explaining that he had tried to assess the roots of the conflict and the reasons pushing Putin to engage in such brutal warfare. I have no way of telling whether his rage has been provoked, he wondered aloud, but I suspect it was maybe facilitated by the West's attitude. You can go back and find, like, Pope Francis making literally hundreds of statements calling for an end to the war in Ukraine and condemnation of the violence there. I mean, you can search for that if you want. I don't know. It just seems odd to me to pretend that he was, like, pro-Russian. Do you think J.D. Vance killed him? Yeah, probably.
So good to see you. God bless you and good morning. How are you?
Find yourself.
Good. Yeah, thank you. Happy Easter to you, Father. Wonderful. I know you've not been feeling great, but it's good to see you in better health.
Grazie.
Brackets in Italian. Kill this white boy. Kill him now.
Grazie, Santo Padre.
Thank you.
These are for your children.
Okay, thank you.
These are the gifts. These are also gifts for you as well.
Thank you. It's
The
beautiful.
Vatican tie, and then the rosaries, For your wife, the white for your children, and the red one is for the red.
Molto santità.
Thank you very much for your visit.
Of course, of course. And thank you for seeing me.
It's so funny. I understand, like, I know that he's faking, so I'm kind of like preaching to the choir here. Like, we all know JD Vance doesn't actually believe in God or whatever. If you're a Catholic and you meet the Pope, it's so funny that JD Vance is supposed to be this conservative, like, Catholic convert, and he's treating it just like any other. Like, he's acting with the Pope the exact same way you'd act with literally any other old state diplomat. Like, he might as well just be, like, talking to the Holy See. He might as well just be talking to, like, the emissary of the Vatican as a state or something. Like, the Pope is chosen by God. He's, like, the voice of God on earth. It's a whole thing, man. It's just, yeah, it's just funny how little he believes. The average Catholic would literally be crying. I mean, you can see videos of ordinary people getting the chance to meet the Pope. Like, the Pope in his grace meets with grieving families. You know, he does that all the time, right? And they freak the f out. I mean, this is as close you're going to get to meeting God until you die, essentially. Vance's Twitter death post about the Pope was also phrased a little bit weird. It really was. Also, JD Vance took photos inside the Sistine Chapel, which I read on Twitter you're not supposed to do. I didn't investigate whether that claim is true, but I don't need to because it's anti-JD Vance. Pretty much all I need, basically. Okay, so yeah, here's how an ultra-conservative Catholic convert talks when the Pope dies 1 day after meeting him. I just learned of the passing of Pope Francis. My heart goes out to the millions of Christians all around the world who loved him. I was happy to see him yesterday, though he was obviously very ill. But I'll always remember him for the below homily he gave in the very early days of COVID. It was really quite beautiful. May God rest his soul. Interesting. Did you not love him? Have you seen that genre of fake Catholic American who gets, like, angry at papal authority? Like, the Pope says something woke, and they're like, well, that's f***ed up, the Pope is woke. And then someone's like, dude, that's the Pope and you're a Catholic. You don't have a say in this. What, so you're saying the Pope has the final say on God's word? Did they teach this in, like, day one of Catholic school? Papal infallibility, mother. Yes! Yeah, that's the whole point. That's the whole... That's like rule one. Yeah, it's papal infallibility. The Pope never lies. His word is doctrine, except when he says it's not, you know. And he doesn't poop. That's right. So many Catholics were calling Francis a fake Pope or literally an antichrist. Yeah, because they're not really Catholic. Like, that's it, really. They're just not actually Catholic. And if we get a conservative Pope after this, all of them are going to turn around and they're going to be like, I now believe in papal infallibility. They're all of a sudden going to get really religious. They don't actually believe in God. They don't believe in any of this. They just use it as a pretext, as a justification for the beliefs they already have, you know? Religion didn't make them reactionary. Religion just made it easier for them to be reactionary. So what happens if the next Pope openly disagrees with Francis? Oh, that'd be unfortunate. Though popes don't typically directly contradict other popes because, again, papal infallibility. Right? The whole point is that every pope is chosen by God, and they're kind of like a reflection of God's will and intent on earth, so they have sort of varying interpretations that, you know, kind of align with the personality of the human that's chosen to be the voice of God, but altogether, like, they're still infallible. It's not so much like rewrites as updates, if that makes any sense. It's pretty rare that you have, like, real updates to Catholic doctrine, like with the Vatican II, which I'm sure Vance disagrees with. Benedict was a bit reactionary? Yes. Francis did appoint a lot of cardinals who are now in a position to vote for the next pope. He did shake up the church hierarchy quite a bit, so I really, 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 really do hope the next pope is also a wope. I have to say, by the way, America is probably helping with that, right? Like, the fact that we're making an enemy of the rest of the world, especially, like, you know, Western Europe and Latin America, it's probably going to help a little bit with kind of, like, negatively polarizing people. That's the hope. That's the wope. If the American candidate gets selected, I will assume Vance did something. I really don't think the American will get selected. That would be shocking to me. That would be shocking. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't want to engage. I don't want to manifest that. Imagine how conservatives will react if we get a minority pope. Well, that's kind of why I'm hoping for Tegel, right? Also, Tegel's young, man. He could be pope for like 25 years. That's crazy. Yeah, I saw the Marjorie Taylor Greene tweet. What's an altar girl? Altar boy, but a girl. I don't know. Maybe they're like leaving room for more heterosexual pedophilia in the church. That's progressive, like in that it's inclusive to heterosexuals. I don't know. Zupi is the farthest left and has the coolest name, though. Zupi also does sound like the name of a JoJo Part 5 character. So there is that. I mean, that's kind of appropriate, right? Can the Pope endorse someone before he goes? Well, he's dead, so... No, the process for I mean, he can, but the process for choosing the next Pope... There's a famous CGP Grey video that I watched this morning. You know, you can watch it. We've all seen it. Also, we have text on screen explaining how it... Go watch Conclave. I've heard Conclave is good. Oh, this guy's called Marx. What video game would you give to a Pope? Disco Elysium. That's an easy one. Bayonetta. This Pope has a real shot at being... Or this guy has a real shot at being Pope. Super woke, but really wants Latin Mass back for some reason. Pier Battista Pizzaballa. That can't be real. Is this a joke article? It's not a joke article. He's the Archdiocese of Jerusalem? This is the most Italian name anyone has ever had. That's insane. That's insane. I didn't even know you could do that. Did he get made the head of the Archdiocese of Jerusalem for the name alone? Like, holy shit. Previous post, Custos of the Holy Land, titular Archbishop of Verbe, Apostolic Administrator of the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem, Pier Battista Pizzaballa. His mother's name was Maria Maddalena Tadini. What the man? That's crazy. What happens when Pietro Pizzaballa and Maria Maddalena Tarini get together? Well, you get the Archdiocese of Jerusalem or something. I don't know. Italians live every day like this? That's crazy. No wonder they can't do fascism right. They keep trying. Mussolini tried. He invented fascism, and then the kings went, hey, and lynched him. Meloni's trying to do fascism, and everyone's like, okay, but cappuccino. I don't know. There's such a fake ethnicity. It's not real. It's not real. Nominated by Pope Francis. Nominated Pizzaballa as Apostolic Administrator Sede Vacante of the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem and appointed him titular Archbishop of Verbe. Anyone else kind of be reminded of why 40K is fun when they read shit from the Catholic Church and it's like, oh, it's just fun to say shit that sounds fancy in Latin? This is why the tradcasts gravitate towards this, you know? You go over to a Protestant sect and they're like, yeah, we're the Church of Holy Mary and Joseph. We're located in a community center. Get the pull-out chairs. It's time for everyone's Bible reading. And then the smallest and least important church in Italy is the Apostolic Administrator Sede Vacante of the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem, titular Archbishop of Verbe. It's more fun. Read his motto. Holy shit. Sufficit tibi gratia mea. My grace is sufficient for you. Oh my God. The last thing you see before he teleports behind you. Jesus Christ. So this guy's progressive, but also really wants Latin Mass back? I could go for that. I don't know. Who cares? Who cares, man? Whatever. Sure. He can only teleport diagonally, though. He's advocated for an end to the 2023 Israel-Hamas war and the Israeli occupation of Palestine. He was a signatory to the statement on the escalating humanitarian crisis in Gaza, which condemned attacks on civilians, called for de-escalation, and called for humanitarian aid to enter Gaza. His statement was criticized by Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen. That's a positive indicator right there. On his visit to Bethlehem on Christmas Eve 2023, Pizzaballa donned a Palestinian keffiyeh and expressed a desire for peace in the region. He co-signed the Christmas message released by the patriarchs and heads of churches in Jerusalem, advocating Christians to refrain from public celebration of the holiday in solidarity with those affected by the war. God damn, dude. On the 16th of October 2023, he condemned Hamas's actions as barbaric and offered himself as a hostage in exchange for captive Israeli children held in Gaza. Dude, okay. I don't know. His grace might actually be sufficient for me. This guy's aura farming with every event. Oh my God. Look at his birthday. What the hell? It's his birthday today? On the day of the death of the Pope? Okay. All right. Okay. Anointed. Chills. It's okay. All right. We're dealing with doctrine here past a point you just have to learn to accept when you're being sent a message. It's meant to be. Pier Battista Pizzaballa, and you better keep the name when you're made Pope. Holy shit. Pope Pizzaballa. He's young too. He could be woke for 30 years. Well, this might be an older picture. Wait. On the day of his episcopal consecration, that was, no, that's not a recent, yeah. I mean, born in 65, so he'd be, yeah, 60 years old. He could be like, it's 2016? Okay, yeah, here you go. Reading chat. What's his opinions on LGBTQ? I don't know. You know, it would be pretty fitting, like, thematically for the Patriarchate of Jerusalem to be the one anointed as the next pope, right? Like, that feels pretty fitting considering everything. Francis, like, made calls day after day after day. It just, you know, I don't know. You can tell Vosh isn't Catholic by how he pronounces episcopal. You know, it's true, I'm not. I never went to Catholic school. I will say, and I've always maintained this, I've known a lot of Catholics. I grew up in LA, okay? And all of the Catholics that I knew, well, not all, I guess, but for the most part, they were fine people. And it seemed like most of them were fair-weather Catholics who practiced only as a exercise of guilt or obligation. But for the most part, it seemed like it was a normal part of their day-to-day life. Every Catholic convert I've met has been Hitler, with zero exceptions. I've not yet encountered a person who was a Catholic convert who wasn't Hitler. But I grew up around a lot of, like, Mexican Catholics, and they were all pretty chill. You know, some of them were conservative, some weren't, but it seemed like it was a normal, integrated part of their culture, and not, like, being Hitler. Not true, Vosh. My close friend is a convert. She's really progressive. You should listen more carefully. It is true, actually, because I said all of the Catholic converts I've met, and I haven't met your friend. So, nice try. Banned for 30 days. Nah, not really. Kind of like Orthodox converts. Well, the reason I don't say Orthodox converts are Hitler is because everyone already knows that. Why on God's green earth would you ever convert to Orthodox Christianity, especially in America, unless you're Adolf Hitler, right? Like, everyone already agrees with that. The literal only reason you do it is if you're Hitler. Anyway, we've been rambling for a bit. Francis was a good pope. I really, 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 really hope he's replaced with somebody good. I don't know whether he will be, but it would be good. A lot of people follow the Pope, you know? Like, obviously, what he says and does isn't really, like, directly important to us, but listen, he's more influential than Mr. Beast, all right? I know that sounds crazy, but we'd all be pogging out if Mr. Beast put out a new video saying, I wholeheartedly reject fascism and embrace the rights of queer people around the world. What's the polling on the Pope elections? It's not a democracy, man. It's the next Pope. Or the cardinals. What do you mean polling? You think there are journalists going into the Vatican, going like cardinal to cardinal, being like, who do you think they'll vote for? They're channeling the word of God, man. You wait for the damn chimney smoke to run. I do like this cardinal drip quite a bit, by the way. From Cardinal Sarah. The like black and red. Because cardinals, I mean, like traditionally, obviously they have the red garb, but usually in the Vatican they wear white, right? No, Vosh, he's Hitler. Beloved by conservatives. Yes, Hitler. Gotcha. Well, I still like the drip. It's Tegel. Tegel would appear to be Francis's first pick for the first Asian pope. DEI. This one's got like a Cybertruck hat. See, it's got like angles and stuff. Francis brought the popular Archbishop of Manila to Rome to head the Vatican's missionary evangelization office, which serves the needs of the Catholic Church in much of Asia and Africa. His role took on a greater weight when Francis reformed the Vatican bureaucracy and raised the importance of his evangelization office. Tegel often cites his Chinese lineage. His maternal grandmother was part of a Chinese family that moved to the Philippines and is known for becoming emotional when discussing his childhood. Though he has pastoral, Vatican, and management experience, he headed the Vatican's Caritas Internationalis federations of charity groups before coming to Rome permanently. Tegel would be on the young side to be elected pope for life, which cardinals perhaps preferring an older candidate whose papacy would be more limited. And then this is the other progressive. Zuppi helped negotiate the end of Mozambique's civil war in 1990s, named Francis as peace envoy for Russia's war in Ukraine. Francis made him a cardinal in 2019 and later made clear he wanted him in charge of Italy's bishops, a sign of his admiration for the prelate who, like Francis, is known as a street priest. In another sign of his progressive leanings and closeness to Francis, Zuppi wrote the introduction to the Italian edition of Building a Bridge by the Reverend James Martin, an American Jesuit, about the church's need to improve its outreach to the LGBTQ+ community. Branch administering those in the margins, though his relative youth account against papacy, strong institutional ties. Nice. I'm still rooting for Pizza Bolla. His grace will be sufficient for you.